Okay, question. So in my 6 years of service, there are probably only 3 votes that I still think about. One of the votes is of the 2021 consent decree. So, and we negotiated that down. You were very familiar with that. And we went to Houstonians with a very prescribed method of how we were going to address consent decree. Here's the schedule. Here's the fee. This is what you can expect. Then here comes a rate study, and then it was like 8%, threw the game off. Then we just have an increase every April 1, and every civic club meeting, every HOA meeting I go to, people are still talking about water bills and how the fees, they can't afford them, right? Seniors who had a $50 water bill, now they're dealing with something else. This reminds me of consent decree in the sense of, do we have a promise that we will not have to go back to Houstonians saying, oh, we've done another study, we looked at what other cities have done, and they increase their fee 3% every year. Philadelphia does it, San Antonio does it, because this is what reminds me of that. Chairwoman, we had voted in support of that, and I know we delayed that vote 6 months because we voted on that in the midst of the 2021 freeze. It was so quick. And I remember talking to Mayor Turner about that. I remember Vice Mayor Pro Tem even raising issues around the fact that people were trying to figure out dealing with the pandemic and the loss. And we find ourselves in very similar economic times when people are making financial decisions. So is there a promise? Because I voted in support of that, and I still stand by that. But I also still meet those constituents that are dealing with that financial burden. Is there a promise from the administration that we will not go back to Houstonians and say, I know it's $25, but we've done another study and now it's $35, and we're going to scale up in the next 5 years?
So the water rate study is something that is important to the bondholders. So Councilmember Pollard asked about the bondholders. The rate study is something that, as you know, because we engaged a new consultant, Raftelis, whose contract came to City Council some months ago, has already started on the future water rate study. An important part of this plan and the $5 administrative fee that we're talking about, right, is looking at the current balance of the combined utility system and seeing that the utility can support the operations of the solid waste department, right? But over time, that solid waste, the $5, really to be sustainable for the utility to support it, that fee does need to go up so that it's not tied to the fund balance of the utility permanently. Mm-hmm. After we hit the $25, in order to have any type of fee, there is a cost of service study, and like the Burns and McDonnell study, right? And another piece that we haven't talked about today, but it's been something that we've talked in some of the briefings about, are some of the ways that Public Works is already working with solid waste to become more efficient in their routing, right? The routing, the operations of the transfer stations, the fact that we only have 2 operational transfer stations, and I mentioned that third one coming online that will help with operations and routing. Transfer stations are also a potential revenue generating opportunity.
Director, I'm tracking with you on that.
Yes.
But once we hit our $25, is there a promise from the administration that we will not have to go back to Houstonians to say, we need to increase another 3% on this $25, although we told you $25 over 5 years, because then we're stuck holding the bag?
Most of our fees are at least related to a CPI escalator. I mean, in the future. So,
Councilmember, from the perspective of Mayor Whitmire during his administration, the cap is going to be $25. What Director Dubowski is referencing is that any increase beyond $25 would have to be supported by a rate study. And I think the thing that we can all get behind.
So the answer is no, there is no promise.
The answer is there is a promise. We are not going to go above $25 during Mayor Whitmire's
unless there's a rate study. Unless you come back, because we do a rate study for the water.
Mayor Whitmire's commitment is that we're not going above $25.
Unless we do a rate study. Or period.
That's it.
Okay.
The thing that I'd like to reference, that I would like to reference, and this is an important thing to frame out, is that we do not believe that the $25 calculation that was made during this analysis necessarily assumed that the department was efficient.